proceed.
Regular meeting, East Point Street School Board of Education, February 26, 2024 at 6:30. Please call the roll.
Mr. Gruber. Dr. Early.
Here.
Mr. Williams here. Mr. Roscoe.
Here.
Mrs. Rayford.
Here.
Mrs. Richardson.
Present.
And Mrs. Gruber.
Here.
I'll stand for the pledge. I don't know if you see the flags over here.
I pledge allegiance
To the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there a motion for approval of the agenda?
Support.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Dr. Early.
Yes.
Mr. Gruber.
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford.
No.
Mrs. Richardson.
Yes.
Mrs. Gruber.
Yes.
Motion carries. Is there a motion for consent agenda?
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support. Call the roll.
Dr. Early.
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Gruber.
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford.
No.
Mrs. Richardson.
Approve and support.
And Mrs. Gruber.
Yes.
Okay, next item on the agenda, superintendent's report, Superintendent Gibson.
Good evening, Board President, and those of you joining us at home and in the audience this evening. Thank you so much for taking the time to be part of our community. This is your superintendent's report for this evening, February 26th. There'll be two purposes with tonight's report. The first will be celebrating those moments that matter. The second will be an update, a mid-year progress report on our strategic plan. I'd like to welcome from the Department of Education, Dr. Tracy Teasley is in the audience this evening. She is the partnership liaison and PAL. And so this update is also for Dr. Teasley to know about our strategic plan implementation, as well as the board and the communities. So let's kick off tonight with celebrating moments that matter. Pleasant View's Wax Museum. The students of Pleasant View hosted their annual Wax Museum. In fact, it was an idea brought by Principal Trice that was then extended across the district to both Bellevue and Pleasant View. But here you have Pleasant View's Wax Museum and all of the students. I hear Tina Turner put on quite a show at the presentation. But each student got to pick a person from Black culture or Black history to celebrate, researched, learned more about them, then dressed up as the character or the person from history or current person as the case may be, and taught more about themselves as a living wax museum. Also pictured, you see Trustee Richardson was able to stop by the school and participate in the Living Wax Museum. The Black Excellence Awards Gala was this past weekend, Saturday evening. We had 3 members of the Board of Education that were nominated for a prize. Congratulations to Robert Roscoe, Dr. Geneva Early, and Ed Williams for their nomination. We were also able to celebrate the nomination of City Council member Rob Baker. It was a great evening to celebrate our community and the community of leaders involved in Macomb County. The Macomb Diversity Summit occurred as well in the past week. Last week, 13 East Point High School students attended the summit at the Macomb Intermediate School District. where they met students from around the county and participated in discussions, even sharing their thoughts on stage. We had many positive remarks about the maturity of our students, as well as their ability to participate in robust conversations. Congratulations and thank you, East Point High School students, for representing East Point Community Schools so well. The Macomb Reads Festival was Saturday morning at the South Campus of Macomb County Community College. East Point Community Schools was a key feature in the Macomb Reads celebration on Saturday morning. As you can see from the picture up in the upper left-hand corner, we had a high volume. I think 25 students were Living Wax Museum for Macomb Reads Festival. We also took busloads of families up to participate and got to learn from Miss Joy, the author of Black is a Rainbow Color, where she did an author talk as well. There were activities, a breakfast. It was a fantastic morning of celebrating literacy in our county and featuring East Point Community Schools. Angela Joy's book is here. It is Black is a Rainbow Color. And this month we are also doing an internal East Point Community Schools competition. Any teacher who sends Caitlin or the superintendent images of how they are celebrating Black culture and Black history for Black History Month will get their own copy of Black as a Rainbow Color. And the book is absolutely gorgeous if you have not read it. It also features illustrations that are mixed media art. And here are two images from the book, and I love this particular page. Black is history, Black is family, Black is memory, Black is community. Black is the love that lives inside of me, my color is Black. And Miss Joy taught us at the book presentation that she struggled to find books for her children when they were young. And so that's what launched her on this 3-year voyage to write this book. We are so grateful to have had the opportunity to meet her and celebrate her work. Black History celebrations continue around the district. This is 2nd grade at Forest Park Elementary School. Teachers McKenna Williams, Linda Speaka, Lauren Robinson, and Courtney Gazdick, all 2nd graders, picked a famous person from current or history, did a presentation, and then they had to present it to the entire 2nd grade in an assembly. And here you have all of the students and their poster boards. Thank you, teachers. You all have a book on its way to Forest Park. Also, Desiree Moses shared more about what she is doing with her youngest learners at the East Point Early Learning Center. They have been celebrating Black History Month through art, music, and food in the ELC classroom. Students in Joyce Trippy's kindergarten STEM classes at Forest Park were read Saving the Day, a story about Garrett Morgan's life-changing invention of the traffic light. Then we're asked to build traffic light replicas that represent one today and to create a prototype of a safer one for the future. Now, you can see the ages of the kids participating. One young lady even said her vision is to make a traffic light that talks to people in the car and says, the traffic light is turning red, you need to stop now. So when that invention comes out, you heard it here first at East Point Community Schools from kindergartners in Joyce Trippy's STEM classroom. So they also read about Ruby Bridges and were given the opportunity to build a desk, table, or chair where any child would feel comfortable no matter what the color of their skin. So that concludes the Moments That Matter section of the superintendent's update. We'll now move to giving an update on the strategic plan. June 13th, 2022, this Board of Education approved the planning process and the consultant that supported the development of our strategic plan. As part of that planning process, we had a direction setting meeting, a vision retreat, a data retreat, an orientation, and a finalized meeting to make a vision mission motto, our portrait of graduate, adult, and a system. This strategic plan was adopted by the Board of Education January 9th, 2023. And if you'd like more information about the strategic planning process or to see any of the articles that were read or data, I want to remind the community that it is all available for you on our website. There is a button for strategic plan. After that sessions, we came back with the board and presented this document, which helped to memorialize and capture all the components in our preferred future statement, as well as highlighted the 5 goal areas, the goal statements, and the aligned strategies, and suggested key performance indicators our district would use to measure the implementation of the strategic plan. Here you can see our portraits of a graduate, adult, and system. Throughout the district, these have been unpacked in different ways this year. The portrait of the adult was used strongly at the beginning of the year as we welcomed our new staff, and principals informed teachers more about the portrait of the adult. Teachers also got to unpack the portrait and learn more about how and talk and discuss, which is more important, about what does a collaborative communicator look like? What does it mean to be student-centered? We are now highlighting 1 trait a month in our Get to the Point, and internally staff can nominate and recommend people to be highlighted in the subsequent months Get to the Point. The portrait of the graduate is being looked at across the district and unpacked by East Point High School staff, and some elementary schools have begun the work of understanding how they contribute to the portrait of a graduate. The portrait of a system has been used by the administrative team as well as the cabinet team to better understand the components that make a strong system to support great schools. Our 5 goal areas are Goal 1, student growth and achievement; Goal 2, learning environment and supports; Goal 3, working environment and high-quality staff; Goal 4, family and community partnerships; Goal 5, resources, finance, facilities, and technology. After the 5 goal areas were established, we identified goal area champions. All of the central office cabinet members serve on at least one of these committees, with one super champion, Assistant Superintendent Plumbing, serving on Goal 1 and 2. Action teams were then created by nomination and recommendation from buildings. Action teams then identified the work in year 1. So the team sat down, looked at all the components in the strategic plan, and started to identify what did they feel was feasible in year 1 implementation, and what did they feel needed to be put off until maybe year 3 or 4. The action teams then identified the key performance indicators to measure yearly progress for the life of the strategic plan. Strategies for each goal area. So we have 5 goals. Each goal has 2, possibly 3, and strategies that the district is then living into. Next, this summer, the DTN, the team of the executive team and the goal champions met, and we created a Gantt chart. And for those of you in the public sector, private sector, you know this is a pretty regularly used tool for project management. You plot out when you would expect to see data, when you would expect to report out. And so what the team did is we plotted out all of our 5 goal areas, all of the strategies, and all of the activities that we would be using to have an impact on this organization. And so a Gantt chart was created. I can tell you that the Gantt chart has saved me a few times when I look and see that February has some things coming forward. It's then able for me as a superintendent to reach out to my team and request reports and progress on where we are in year 1 implementation. So after those strategies were solidified, then the goal areas, each action team identified the activities. Now, for those of you in state and federal programs or in school improvement for a long time, those activities are then the actions. Teachers will do what as measured by and when. Kind of like a SMART goal. So it might be professional development, it might be programming, it might be curriculum implementation, could be an activity. Identified activities are then monitored for progress and impact to determine effectiveness. Then we identify the funding streams for each activity. Then the goals, strategies, and activities were aligned to the district's partnership agreement with the MDE, as well as all of our goals, strategies, and activities were built out into the MyKit platform, which is the MDE's warehouse for the continuous cycle of improvement. So goal area 1 had 2 strategies to articulate a clear, meaningful 21st century PK-12 curriculum and assessment system for all subject areas, as well as improve student performance on state and other standardized tests and close current achievement gaps in English language arts and mathematics. So these are the activities. And they are of a variety in the implementation science or cycle, right? Some are exploring, some are refining, some are adopting. So those activities then are all part of what we've been working to implement this year, here in year 1. I'd like to highlight a few of those. Our professional learning communities have been rebooted, and we hold sacred Wednesday mornings for professional learning community time for our professional staff. We also have a redeployed work-based learning program, and instead of finding another work-based place to go, our children are now going to our own schools and providing a service to our own schools. It's a fantastic connection being made between our high school special education students and our elementary schools. And as this board knows, we have adopted elementary iReady math curriculum, as well as we are undergoing a pilot for ELA, and we adopted a special education curriculum. All of those were work we identified in Goal 1. Goal 2 is learning environment and supports. Those include 3 strategies: improve student attendance, mobility, engagement, and satisfaction, address student well-being, social, emotional, and enhance students' behavior, effort, motivation, confidence, and ownership, ensure effective and impactful academic and behavioral interventions. These were the activities identified in Goal 2. A return to RJ, welcome, universal family engagement, update our student code of conduct, and our MTSS system. Here you have 2 examples of work that we've been doing that align with Goal 2. An increase in family engagement activities, and boy, oh boy, our principals have been working so hard to bring families into our schools, and we've been celebrating those moments that matter at our board meetings. Also, you see on MTSS attendance recognition, our buildings have been working hard to improve student attendance through positive rewards. Goal Area 3 finds the district working on 3 strategies: promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in instructional programs and practices, bringing consistency to essential policies, procedures, and practices to achieve system unity, and enhance employee morale, satisfaction, and performance. Our identified activities in Goal Area 3 were a lot, and you can see that we have a number of things on the activity list that you could probably check off because we've already completed them. But we have a number that we are still working on. But we'd like to highlight a few, and that is our staff professional development. We've had pop-up PD, we've got mentor training going on. We're sending teachers to MSU to continue to grow on their journey into leadership. And then we've been involving our staff in all of our strategic planning, as well as the actions that then come from the plans. Goal Area 4, family and community partnerships. Our 2 strategies in this area were to expand family and community partnerships to promote trust, pride, engagement, career awareness, and expanded learning opportunities for students, market, brand, and enhance perceptions of East Point Community Schools. In Goal Area 4, we identified a number of activities to work on in year 1. Some of those are featured here. In Goal Area 4 for activities, you know that we've been working with Wayne State on the Healthy Kids Clubs. All elementary schools have a Healthy Kids Club and a Healthy Schools Champion who's running after-school programming. We have been expanding our athletic offerings with our Athletics and Activities Director. Goal 5 is resources, finances, facility, and technology. And our two big strategies for this strategic plan are explore facility reorganization or consolidation to improve effectiveness and efficiency in the delivery of programs and services. And the second strategy is explore new contracts with food, custodial, maintenance, transportation to improve the quality and address student, family, and staff dissatisfaction. Some of these activities have already been completed. As you know, we switched to a new health cleaning service. Custodial forefront is now. We have much higher satisfaction rates with the cleanliness of our buildings. But here are some additional activities that the district decided through the action teams to work on in year 1. Here's just a few of the pictures of our bathroom and classroom renovations at the ELC and elementary schools. You know, we fixed up those bathrooms, and we are engaged in the facilities conversation. The key performance indicators are KPIs. And what you're trying to do when you establish KPIs is you want to measure your progress, you want to collect enough data that you can make decisions, revise decisions that you might make. You use them for performance evaluations, so staff evaluations. My executive cabinet team will be accountable for the KPIs of the action teams, and then align with the strategic objectives for the organization, as well as provide accountability and continuous improvement. If we aren't setting goals and working to obtain them, then we're not working the continuous cycle for improvement. So this is a little bit about KPIs, and then these are the KPIs that the action teams have selected for the measure of year 1 implementation. So we have graduation, state and local assessment data in both math and ELA, readiness for kindergarten, and those building transitional times, especially from our pre-K into our kindergarten, advanced coursework, post-secondary enrollment, and the building turnaround networks at each school. Our key performance indicators for goal area 2 are the monitoring of the non-instructional data: attendance, behavior, student participation, student satisfaction, and equity in 3-5 in extracurricular activities. Goal area 3, our key performance indicators, are staff engagement, DEI practices, staff satisfaction, staff attendance rates, the certified number of teachers, teacher retention, climate and culture perception data, as well as the offerings for professional development. The key performance indicators for Goal 4, the action team has decided that they will be the number of community partnerships, and we will be tracking the engagement of those partnerships, the community perceptions, staff satisfaction and parent perception data, conference attendance for the annual fall parent-teacher conferences, student enrollment, number of athletic teams and student participation on those teams, interactions with Facebook and websites, community crime rates, as well as using Zello and integrating that into career cruising so that we get some refinement. And finally, the key performance indicators that we will be using to monitor the effectiveness of year 1 and each subsequent year for Goal 5 are the facility usage, building utilization percentage, fund balance, out-of-district contracts. Again, we will be using staff and family perception data as a measure of Goal 5, the bond, and then the work order processes and fulfillment of those. So the next steps is this is your mid-year update on where we are in our implementation of year 1 in our strategic plan. I can see that you're making lots of connections with what I've been sharing in the moments that matter with those 5 goal areas. And then we've got some big conversations that are part of this year as well. The internal facilities master plan recommendations will come back to the board in March. They will also be then put out to the community. We desire to have community input before any decisions are made, by the Board of Education. We will also be working on launching family and community perception data. Our target date is April to get those surveys into the hands of our family and community. Performance management data, we will continue to have regular performance management meetings with our building principals and with our directors and executives who collect the data for our strategic plan. The district turnaround network will continue to monitor using the Gantt chart that you were shown a little small piece of this evening. We'll continue to monitor the identified steps for year one. We'll also be reviewing the district level data for impact and making any small tweaks this time of the year to ensure that we're on track for year one. And lastly, at the end of the year, or what we in education call EOY, we'll be comparing the baseline KPI data that we have assembled with the end of year data. And then June 2024, you can expect a strategic plan update to the board and to the community on our progress of our year one implementation. And that concludes the superintendent's report this evening. I do see that I did neglect to add the calendar to the slide deck. So I'd like to remind the community and the staff and the board that tomorrow we will be having our second gathering of the year as a learning community here at East Point High School's auditorium. At 8 a.m. the doors will open and a continental breakfast will be available in the cafeteria downstairs. At 8:30 I will be welcoming all of the staff that are here in our district with a student MC supporting me in this event. And then we'll kick off with Dr. J. Marks from 9 o'clock to 11, all as part of our professional development. That invitation has been extended to many members in our community as well. And we are looking forward to doing some whole group learning in diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice here at East Point High School tomorrow. If you would like to know more about other upcoming events, please check our website for more information. That concludes the superintendent's report for this evening.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about the presentation?
A comment. I did get a chance to see Tina Turner dancing.
I thought it was a wax museum. I thought they just I don't think you can ever stop her. She's still moving.
She did.
She's still moving. Okay, next we have hearing of the public. We'll open that up at, let's see, it's 6:58. Now, you guys can probably see us pretty good. I can't see out there quite as well. I know there's a couple people sitting towards the back. Does anyone wish to be heard? Does anyone wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close that at 6:58. Next, human resources, new hires. Is there a motion to approve the new hires as presented?
I make a motion to support the new hires as presented.
Support. Anybody have anything or no? Please call the vote.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes, Mrs. Rayford,
Yes.
Mrs. Richardson,
Yes.
and Mrs. Grunberg.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have business and operations. Recommendation for an investment advisor.
Good evening. Before you have a resolution to appoint Baker Tilly as the district's investment advisor. Just to backtrack a little bit, on August of 2023, the voters of the community approved a bond issue for $34.6 million. That bond is going to be sold in 2 series. The first one for $20 million occurred in January. At the end of January, we're going to get the proceeds in a couple days, on February 28th. And once that money comes in, we want to put it to work, gain some interest. We're not going to really start drawing on that money for a few more months. Primarily in the summers when the money's getting ready to kick in as construction work is done. So in the meantime, we'd like to invest it in safe but high yielding investments. And Baker Tilly provides a portfolio called Michigan Class, which invests those proceeds like in commercial paper and other government obligations. And then we're going to monitor the interest rate environment, because currently short-term investments portfolio pays more interest than a 1 or 2 year investment. So at the time, they call them inverted yield curve. So at such time that the market flips, then we'll look at investing some of that money in longer term. But for now, the Michigan Class portfolio pays the highest interest rate that we could get for the next 3-4 years. So before you is the paperwork that actually needs to be approved by board. The resolution needs to be approved by board, allowing the district to proceed with this type of investment.
Okay, I would move that the board adopt the resolution for the investment advisor as presented. Is there support?
Support.
Comments, questions? And we basically have to do this type of thing anyways, because we can't just take this money and plop it in the bank.
Correct.
It would never be protected.
Right.
Such
We
as-
could put it in
such
our own
a-
checking account, because that's already been approved by a board as an authorized institution. But to now go to this next step to another financial advisor, we would need board's approval.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just thinking as far as the general public, they need to, I want to make sure they understand that we can't just take the money that they give us, plop it into a banking account, and let it sit there until we need to use it.
Yep.
Because that money would not be guaranteed at the level of the amount of money that we're putting in.
Correct.
So we have to find something else to put it into. And this way, we're putting it into something that hopefully, what actually, the money we put in, it will turn into more money.
Right, and that money, the interest that we earn on it, can be plowed back into projects that the bond was intended for.
Yes, sir.
Rob, is this a traditional investment entity that we normally use, or is this?
No, it's a new one. Our Bank of America does not offer this product. I mean, they offer something like a money market fund, but it doesn't pay anywhere near this interest. The state of Michigan revised school code prescribes the type of investments that the state allows districts to invest in, and this is an outshoot of that. Like, there's a couple different companies that tailor to this type of product, and Baker Tilly is one of them.
And what's that percentage again?
Baker Tilly,
In the investment?
it's an investment advisor. So they also have funds for their clients' investment. And they also, like, if we didn't use them for this person, they also could underwrite our bonds, or someone's bonds, and sell them. The district has traditionally gone with Stiefel and Nicholas, so we continue using them for that purpose.
And my last and final question, at what rate are we?
This is nearly 5%. And that could change, going forward. And that's why we're going to monitor the rates. When they perceive rates starting to, short-term rates dropping, and rates like for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years rising, then they'll reposition our portfolio. But they would check with us first.
Thank you.
Please call the vote.
Mr. Gruber,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford,
Yes.
Mrs. Richardson, and Mrs. Gruber.
Yes.
Okay, next we have recommendation for purchase classroom furniture.
So on the slide, in a moment, we're going to have a couple pictures of the furniture that we're recommending that the board approve us to purchase.
Did you want to talk about the process?
I will
Mr.
talk about
Hurwitz?
that. Yep. So this is a continuation of last year's process where we replaced all our media center furniture. We reevaluated, what we would need, and last year we went forward with that purchase using ESSER funds. So the next step of that is the classroom furniture. So the classroom furniture of the district, it primarily was purchased when the buildings were open. So we have furniture from the 50s and 60s, and then high school even earlier than that. So they are looking kind of worn. We'd like to replace them, help refresh our buildings. So we formed a committee during the last school year. We offered two spots on the committee for each building, and volunteers came forward. And we had probably like 5 or 6 meetings where our architect, Darren McKenna from Architects and Architecture, and some members of his team helped facilitate those meetings. And they brought in various vendors to showcase their products. The vendors actually brought their product in. And so our committee was able to look at the quality of the furniture, how functional, how comfortable it was. And they all had because they were all from different buildings, they all had a little bit different input, what would be needed at their building. So the final recommendation of the committee was made last spring. The most difficult item to get, believe it or not, was the teacher desk. It's just finding a desk that was functional, that everyone agreed upon at the various grade levels. So we finally got some pricing in, and it's through Great Lakes. It's the name of the company that distributes this furniture. It's from 3 or 4 different manufacturers, the package that we're recommending. So in this photo, you'll see the actual teacher chair and the teacher work desk. So the teacher work desk is the one towards the left. It doesn't have that little podium that's sticking up on the right-hand side. That's going to be a freestanding unit. I can show you a little bit later. But the desk itself has call it a modesty panel in front there. So it's going to hide all the technology and wires and stuff like that. And then there's this little panel on the left side, like an apron. So it's kind of like an L-shaped desk. The next photo here, the picture on the left here is it's like a stand-up desk. We're going to use it as a teacher podium because that's what they recommend, so they'll be able to wheel it around. And they'll be able to put their material, teachers will put their materials on that. Also for the secondary grades, we're going to have a couple in each classroom, like for bigger kids that don't like to sit or are kind of fidgety. They'll be able to stand at that desk. We'll have them at the back of the classroom just to make it more comfortable for certain kids. Those chairs there, they're designed to bounce. So if a kid's fidgety, they can kind of rock on it and burn that nervous energy. The committee selected navy blue, so every school in the district will have navy blue chairs of that style. And the desk right there, that's actually 2 desks together, but the one that we're actually getting doesn't have wheels on it, but it'll be like a light maple colored veneer top. It's guaranteed for 15 or 20 years. And if it does break or is any fault, it's replaceable by the manufacturer. This is really high quality furniture. The frame, they call it a unitized frame. Here's a better picture of the desk on the right. The frame is not just legs screwed into a compressed board top. It's the legs, and it has call it unitized frame where there's a ledge all the way around underneath the tabletop, and the legs are welded to that metal, panel that goes around the bottom, and then the top is mounted to that. And there's going to be a little tray. It's a basket in that picture, but it's actually a tray in the lower grades where kids can put their pens, paper, materials in. The desk on the right, certain kindergarten rooms are going to be getting that. It's like a little workstation for teachers to work in small groups. And it'll have smaller version of chairs for that. Not every kindergarten is for kindergarten. Some kindergarten rooms already have that, or certain rooms already have it. Purchased with Title I funds over the last few years. So just the buildings, just the classrooms that didn't get that table with the Title funds will get it with this, with ESSER funds. So the total cost of this package of furniture is $1,521,820.70. This pricing is for the My Deal Purchasing Consortium, so it meets the board's requirements for bidding out of products that are over the bid limit of roughly $28,000. So the vendor has already done this and offers this pricing to anyone that, any school district. That's where we stand. If furniture, if the order is put in, approved tonight, put in over the next few weeks, we anticipate it arriving over the summer. Our intent is to coordinate it so that we can pull the old furniture out, have those rooms clean, the floor redone, and then move the new furniture in. So there's going to be quite a bit of coordination done by our facilities department, Mr. Wysott, in order to get this done. And the objective is to have everything set up for the start of school.
I got a question.
Gotta make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we support the recommendation for purchasing the furniture.
Support?
Support.
You make a motion, you can reply.
Okay, my question is, you said the guarantee was, you said 15 or 20 or 15 up to 20 years?
It depends on the exact product, but if it's minimal, 15 years on the desktop. And my main concern on this product was the desktop. Because when you look around the district, you see some that are chipped, or some when a kid sits on it, the leg will collapse. It's at least 15 years. I can get that number for you. I apologize if I don't have it in my head.
Okay. And the second question is, does the furniture, when it arrives, is it arriving in pieces to assemble, or it's already assembled?
It will be already assembled. Each piece will be like kind of shrink wrapped with protective plastic on it. Mr. Wysott recommends that we coordinate that internally. He'll be using our custodial staff and our high-tech guys, our maintenance group to do that. The cost to have that done by the vendor is over $100,000. So we'll save quite a bit of money by doing that setup ourselves. So there's no actual, screwing and tightening nuts and bolts and stuff. It's supposed to come already assembled. We would just have to unwrap it and wheel it to the classrooms.
Okay, thank you.
Rob, from a safety standpoint, you did mention that all of the desks would be flat bottom and no casters. Was I
Correct.
right in hearing that?
Yes, no casters.
The standing desks do have casters on them.
Okay. The standing
the
desks,
mobile,
then,
right.
let me ask a safety question then. Would those being casters, are they hard plastic, are they metal? And when they lock, have the guys tested them? Because kids will be kids.
Yeah,
Well, I tested the standing desk.
yeah.
And the central office team, and we practiced going up and down, I laid on top of it. So we tested that one.
Yeah, and the rest, that's the only one with casters on.
Well, my
The teacher-
understanding was
the
the
teacher
standing
desk,
desk
the
are for
teacher
these
desk.
instructors, right?
Well, it's the same as the one for the super classroom for the kids. So the structure will have one that the committee chose to use as a podium. And then there's going to be two at the back of the classroom for kids that would like to stand up. And literally...
Right, but it's not a whole classroom model.
No.
There's going to be much smaller number
Right,
of
there'll be
standing
a
desks.
traditional desk for the rest. So
Okay.
two for the kids and one for the teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize about the two, but I didn't realize.
Yeah, and they easily lift up and down. There's like a release on it. It's hydraulic and they go up and down. They're really well made. It's a well made set of furniture.
And the B part of that question would be the replacement parts, should there be any?
So the parts are guaranteed for a period of time, but they are readily available.
Thank you, Rick.
My question is, Robert, they're gonna be delivered in the summertime,
Yes.
so is there a good, we have summer school,
Right. So we'll coordinate summer school to be in one location, and then the
Yeah,
custodial and maintenance and custodial department will work with Forefront, our custodial vendor, and they'll schedule classrooms. Because for cleaning, because we also have construction going on too.
Right.
So they have to manage between that. And so that's why we're thinking this, if we could do this at the end of the summer or as a building gets completed, rather than have all the furniture come in all at once, we're hoping to have the furniture come in building by building, so we can just take care of it when the building's being done, when it's done cleaning.
Okay, and this purchase will be funded by
ESSER 3 grant,
ESSER?
yes.
Also, it's not even bond.
No.
No.
Oh.
There's a
Well, I
little
was,
bit-
the second
Yeah.
part of that was gonna be, it doesn't need to be necessary, is the fact that if it was bond money.
There is a little bit of money for furniture in the bond, but I think we can take care of all our needs with ESSER funds, and then the bonds funds are available for other things.
And it was purchased all in one color. So that there are not different colors at different buildings, so we have maximum ability to move furniture and still have it look the same. We're trying to establish a district standard. And I'd like to thank all of the members of the furniture committee. They spent a lot of time testing furniture and participating. I know they had a lot of arguments when it came to color, but the manufacturer helped the team to solidify based on what was in stock.
Yep.
So, thank you so much, Mr. Carlesso. I know
Thank you.
leading the furniture committee was a challenge, but also an opportunity to continue to allow teachers to have input into district decision-making.
This is very exciting. I think our staff will get a big boost from this, and our kids also.
And our most recent furniture, so the last furniture the district purchased has lasted 64 years. 64 years.
That's a lot of good furniture.
That's a lot of time.
There's nothing wrong with
Nothing
64
wrong with
years.
it, but I
It's
don't know,
just
64
amazing how much use we got out of that furniture.
It's time for it.
Is there anything else as far as the furniture?
Okay, Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Grunberg?
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg?
Yes.
Dr. Early?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Rayford?
Yes.
And Mrs. Richardson?
Motion carries. Next, we need a motion to go to closed session for student discipline 2324-17.
Make a motion that we go into closed session with student discipline 24-17.
Support.
Please call the vote.
Dr. Early?
Yes.
Mrs. Grunberg?
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg?
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Rayford?
Yes.
Mrs. Richardson?
For those of you joining in the audience, the board will be moving to another room to hold our closed session hearing. We will not be returning to this space. Once the hearing has been finalized and conducted, the door to the hearing room will be open and we will go back into open session. You are welcome, audience members, to stay here in the auditorium if you would like to know when we conclude. But I do want to let you know that we will be leaving this area and moving to another room. Before the board gets up and leaves, we would like to take a full group picture for an advertisement. So I'd like to invite the board to come stand in front of these two tables, and we will take a group picture as we transition to closed session. And then finally, so the board and the audience know, our live streaming capacity has ended. Apparently, we're having some technical difficulties. We are recording this meeting, and the recording of the meeting will be posted as well. All right, so if the board would come in front of the table, we'll take a brief picture, and then we'll head into closed session. Audience members, thank you for being here.